Welcome back into Sports Drive. This time, right now, joining us, we have Amarillo High volleyball head coach Michael Moffitt. Michael, how are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, it's great to have you on. You guys have a big game tonight.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's your first match against your bitter rivals, the Tascosa Rebels, this season. Are there any nerves going on for you guys, especially for your players, or how does it feel?
Well, we'll see. It hasn't looked like it this week in practice. We had the off over the weekend, so we've actually had plenty of time to be looking at Tascosa and what they're going to bring to the table. And our kids know their kids obviously really well, just throughout growing up and playing with and against each other forever. So I haven't caught any yet, but there usually are. And Tascosa does a great job of always showing up and giving their very, very best against us. So we're excited for tonight. We'll see. Hopefully should be a pretty good crowd, and hopefully my players are ready and not too nervous about it.
Yeah, there's always, I think, even, I went to school at Amarillo High, and I remember going into any game against Tascosa, whether it was football, obviously that's the big one, but then there's also, you think about basketball, volleyball, any sort of game against Tascosa, there's nerves even as a student, like we want to win, and I know that it's the same way on the other side for Tascosa students as well. What do you guys expect from this Tascosa volleyball team coming into this game? You said you've had some time to prepare, and what do you guys expect from them coming into it?
Well, we expect for them to really try to challenge us offensively. We like their attackers. We've spent a lot of time. We're really familiar with them, but we definitely like a couple of the attackers they have. They run a nice offense. They've got a couple of really nice defensive players that hopefully we'll game plan and try to avoid. And hopefully if we're sticking to our game plan, we should be in good shape. But it's one of those things, like we expect a very, very big effort from them defensively. And then they've got some really talented hitters coming at us. So we should be in good shape, identifying who those players are off the bat.
Who do you think those players are to look for that you're most preparing for on the Tascosa Rebels?
Well, for sure, it's good. I mean, Safina's fantastic, number 9 outside hitter. She's outstanding. 12 in the middle is awesome. We see what she does, and then 13, Michaela Carroll. We know her really well. Very, very tall player, smart player. She can bang the ball, but she can tip the ball around. So we've definitely got at least 3 of their players that we know are going to bring heat. We know their other hitters as well, but those 3 are definitely going to be something. If we're struggling and they're being really successful, that's going to be who's doing the majority of the load on offense for them.
Yeah. Well, a couple weeks ago, the Sandys faced a bitter defeat against Tascosa on the football field. You guys lost 45-10 at Buffalo Stadium. That's a soul-crushing loss, especially in a rivalry like this. Is there a little bit of is there a chip on you guys' shoulder coming into this? You want a little revenge for football?
Well, we hope so. And a lot of my girls, definitely, we all went to that football game for sure. And so some of the comments that were made from our players, like, hey, when it's our turn, so they definitely want to avenge that loss. But also I think, that's, like you said, it's the entire school against the entire school. So I've heard a lot of talk from our students that there's going to be a big student section tonight ready to go, and that can be other athletes, football players, basketball players. Hopefully we're ready as an entire school to try to avenge that loss tonight.
Do you feel like your girls feed off of when there's a big student section, when you have a big crowd cheering you on? Do you guys feed off of that, especially tonight?
Yeah, they do.
Being at Amarillo High.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those things where you like it. It almost works regardless of if you're home or away. So the more noise you can get going, the better off you're going to be anyway. So we don't mind playing the villain role if we're on the road and we've got a great crowd. But at home with a great crowd, it'll be really exciting to see what we can do.
Yeah. You guys have won 4 in a row, and you've won 9 out of your last 10 matches. What's led to that kind of success? I mean, that's a really great streak. To win 9 out of 10 in a row in any sport is impressive. So what do you think has led to that kind of success on the court?
Well, for us, I mean, we always schedule, as hard as I possibly can. I mean, we definitely, some of it's strategic, and you've got to get some home and away games and things like that. But we definitely try to play as many hard games as we can. We played that entire District 2 6A, so we played all those 6A teams. And then at tournament season, we definitely went out and found the best competition, the best athletes that we could play against. So I think that really helps us then when it comes time for district. We are really familiar with who we are and what it's going to take for us to win. And then the opponent is kind of secondary to that. So, regardless of who we're seeing, we know what we have to do on our side of the net by the time all these district matches roll around. And right now we're doing that pretty successfully. We're playing pretty smooth ball right now.
Yeah. You said you know who you are and you know what you have to do to win. What is that? What do you have to do to win, especially tonight?
For us this year, it's serve and dig. Like we're a defensive team this year, and we've been saying that all the way. We knew that from the moment that our season ended last year. We knew what we were graduating last year, and we knew what the roster was going to look like at the top half for us for this year. So we've known that for months and months and months that we were going to have to serve and dig, and that's what we've done. We've been really successful with our serving calls and hitting our spots and being really intentional about what we're doing, but also being aggressive. And then we're trying hard. Like we are trying hard on defense, and then that makes up for a lot of things. Our offense is there, and I've kind of always been known as an offensive coach, but this is a defensive team, and that's what's doing it for us right now, and that's what's going to carry us through the playoffs too.
Mm-hmm. As an offensive coach, if you're offensive minded, how do you adapt when your team is more fit toward the defensive side of the ball?
Well, I have to work, and I've got to practice what I'm preaching, and I make sure I'm building in defensive drills every day, no matter what, because I see some things on offense that would be easy fixes for me, but our time is better spent working on the defensive side and making sure that we're really digging with purpose and we're in the exact right spots. I mean, a lot of teams, you'll run one defense and that's great, and you get really, really good at it. And for us, I mean, we've got 3 different defenses that we incorporate and go in and out of, and so we're able to make those adjustments on the fly based on who the opponent is. But it's just pure effort. We're just investing the time on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think that's definitely good to invest time on both sides of the ball, no matter what your forte is as a coach, especially focusing on what your players' forte may be. Speaking of the players, we talked a little bit about players to look out for when you're up against Tascosa. What players do you think Tascosa should look out for on the Sandies?
Oh, for us, I mean, we've definitely got some attackers. It's going to start with Joe making good decisions. Our setter, it's kind of having a dual threat quarterback out there. Like, she's going to make decisions. She doesn't dump a lot, but when she does, it usually works, or she's trying to set something up. And from there, if we're passing and digging well, she can go to anyone. Sienna Cavalier could have a really, really big night based on some of the matchups we've seen and the way we move her in and out of the ball. She's our kill leader right now, and I don't see any reason that she shouldn't be effective tonight. We're going to ask her to have a big night and carry a lot of the load for us. We're going to be setting her a lot.
Yeah. Do you think when you look at teams that you've had in years prior, this team's 25-9. You guys you're doing pretty well again, especially 9 out of your last 10. How do you compare it to teams that you've had in years past?
So ask it one more time. I got a basketball practice happening here too. Sorry.
You're good. How do you compare this year's team to teams that you've had in years past, especially right now on the run that you're on?
Oh yeah, for sure. We've had great teams, and we've won the district the last 2 years, and we're trying to do that again. And we've had these great long 4 and 5 set matches, and just through determination. So every year is totally different. But this year, you can just tell that our serve and dig game, our defensive side of the ball, is just a lot sharper. because we knew in the last 2 years, we knew that we had some attackers that could get us out of trouble. And now we got to spend more time in system or get really comfortable when things are getting a little sloppy. We have to trust our players to just keep putting pressure on the opponent and keep digging. That's the biggest difference is we can go a long rally this year. We're totally comfortable in really, really long rallies that can last almost a minute. And in prior years, that wasn't the way. Prior years, we set everything up to score immediately. Like we wanted to be done and move on to the next point. And this year, we're very comfortable putting the impetus back on the opponent and seeing if they'll make a mistake, and we'll just keep rolling and keep defending. So that's one of the biggest differences the last couple of years.
Yeah, so you've won the district the last 2 years, but you've kind of had to alter your game plan on the court. Has there been anything in terms of mental stability, in terms of mental fortitude, if you will, in terms of mental, determination and cohesiveness as a team? Has there been anything that you've had in years prior that you want to carry over this year?
Oh, for sure. There's a lot of things. I mean, we don't have a true captain system at all. We've got 3 seniors. And the way I've just always done it is, they make you have a speaking captain just in case I need to tell the ref something. And so that's just whatever setter's on the floor. But we do leadership committees. The kids are the ones that are deciding what we're wearing, what music is playing, where we're going out to eat on road trips, if they're going to do a team dinner or whatever. So they're broken up into like 3 different subcommittees. We do book studies. I almost want to just grab the one we've got right now, but that's okay. I've got a pile of books over here. But right now it's all about becoming a better teammate. And our players take that home. They've gotten assigned a chapter. They analyze that chapter. They present it back to their teammates a couple of days later. So they're developing that leadership. And a lot of times when we're setting a drill up, I'll just call over a random player from each team, explain it to them. They've got to go explain it to their team successfully. And then they strategize and things like that. So a lot of those things really bring a team together in a really functional way, making the players lead. So we've done a lot of that in the past, and it's really paying off this year because we're seeing everyone can step up and lead at different times.
Yeah. You said you guys are doing a book. I don't remember. I don't want to say book club, but you said something else. You guys are working with books. What's the one that you're working on right now?
So right now it is how to be a better teammate. Let's see. And we're doing it. I don't have my copy in here because it's handed out to one of the players. But we've got that for all the coaches have a copy, and then all the coaches have an extra copy for their team. So we've got 4 teams, three sub-varsities in our varsity. We're all going through this together, and it's just different things about great teammates are always hungry. Great teammates are always encouraging. Great teammates love practicing. So those would be the different sub-chapters. So they're all working on that right now. But I've got a lot individually. I assign different books and different chapters to different players in the off season as well. So that I've got, 20 or 30 different books that we cycle through, grit, growth mindset, stuff like that go out to the players, and that's catered to them. And then they report on it later, and they do a big presentation for the freshmen when we start the school year.
Do you think what do you think has there been any surprises this season? Has there been anything that you maybe didn't expect coming in? Any players who you think have really broken out or come into their own? What can you speak to that?
Yeah, I think some of the biggest surprises are just the constitution of the roster. I haven't had freshmen on my team here at Amarillo High before, and we had 3 end up making varsity for very specific reasons, very specific positions, and they've been great. Like I've been really surprised at how good the freshmen have been. Yes, they're getting some playing time, and we're getting them in and getting them that experience. But man, I'm beside myself at how good those guys have been day in, day out in practice, understanding that maybe that playing time doesn't come this year. Yeah. But man, they're going to be so far ahead of other people in our district and the other people on the roster as we go forward. So just our freshman class is really, really good, and then having 3 of those folks make varsity, and they've proven that they definitely belong for sure.
Yeah. What have you, going into a game like this, the rivalry, your first of the year, and you have it at home. What have you told your players to keep in order to, maybe keep their mind focused a little bit, because there is a lot of outside talk that comes with games like this a lot of the time. What have you told them to keep them on track?
Yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, we really reiterate the things that we need to be working on our side. We do scouting reports for every opponent, and we do those things, and we talk about it, we share it, but also we keep that really bite-sized, because it's going to be way more important what we're doing on our side than what our opponent is going to try to do to us. We always make sure we know what they want to do, and so we'll try to take some of those things away, but really it's going to be execution on our part. And so we really do. Right now, like I said, on that book study, they're on a kick on that. So we've got a whiteboard, you can see it in my background over here. We've got whiteboards for practice and stuff like that, but we always have quotes on those and things like that. And right now the players are on a big kick where they're wanting to always write their quote from their chapter on the board too. So we've got all of those things happening. So it's really, again, player led on maintaining that focus and challenging each other to be awesome every practice, every day. And then that'll show up in the games.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Coach Moffitt, thank you once again for joining us tonight. Amarillo High versus Tascosa, 7 p.m. at Amarillo High School. It's their first matchup on the volleyball court this year. I'm sure it'll be a good one. I'll be there to film the game. I'm looking forward to it. But thanks again for joining us.
Perfect. Hey, I appreciate the heck out of it. It'll be great. Hope to see everybody there tonight. Thank you.
All right. Thank you again for joining us. And we'll be right back after the break with more Sports Drive. Stay tuned.